July 30th, 2020. From El Cajon in San Diego, California, this is episode 214 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting at his home is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Mike, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
I think I'm back to normal.
Ah, good.
It's funny because just touching on COVID for a second, this week, there have been so many patients who all of a sudden have started telling me about, relatives, cousins that have had it. The last lady I worked on today said her cousin passed away a couple weeks ago, and he lives in Tijuana.
Oh, okay.
He was, I think she said, 70 years old.
Yeah.
And had diabetes, too. But she showed me his picture, and, he looked like a vibrant, healthy guy.
Yeah, sure.
But just got sick down there and didn't make it.
Yeah, well, for the longest time, we've been talking about how, at least here in San Diego, we really haven't been affected by it, while everything was happening, say, in New York City and that kind of thing. And now, we're ramping up a bit.
Yeah, well, we're the New York City now. California is New York.
Well, it's not that bad.
Well, I think it passed New York in number of cases.
Maybe the numbers, but I don't think at least the hospitalizations is as critical as it got in New York. That centralized area there. Yeah. But we're definitely ramping up here. Well, good. Glad you're feeling better. You're back to work, it sounds like, full time.
Yep.
That's good news. And your family's okay?
Everyone's good. So far, so good.
Good. Well, since our last episode, the Eldorado acquisition of Caesars was finalized, making that now the biggest gambling company in the world, and they're keeping the Caesars name, which makes sense because that's got the most recognition. Caesars Entertainment. Some people were kind of complaining about the new logo because it's, Caesar's profile and then these rings going around it that they're asymmetrical and it almost looks like they were just drawn, by a kid or something. But I think the idea is that it's supposed to look like an old Roman coin. You know how you see some ancient Roman coin? It's not like a perfect circle or anything.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess I can see that.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was two rings that are joined and pivot, like rotate one inside the other.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Kind of spins.
And they spin. And so it was kind of like mid-spin, or something.
Oh, okay. I'll go along with that. I guess maybe on their animation, when the logo comes up and it's animated, it does kind of spin. I'm trying to remember. I watched that video that the CEO put out, but anyway, the merger is done. We haven't really felt any repercussions of it here at Harrah's Southern California, or we haven't really heard of anything major yet, although they clearly will have to sell some properties, this combined company, just to satisfy antitrust laws. I think Bally's in Atlantic City is one that is being sold or has already been sold. They're talking about a strip property. Who knows what that might be? There was rumblings about Planet Hollywood, but some properties that were either Eldorado or Caesars are going to have to be sold here soon.
Well, gosh, Planet Hollywood is not open yet, right?
I believe that's one of the last ones, that still hasn't opened,
So maybe that is the one they're trying to sell.
Maybe. I'm guessing that would be a coincidence, but I don't know. You might be right.
Yeah, why open it if you're going to sell it and somebody's going to change everything about it?
That could be, Mike. You might have figured it out. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you think, hey, look, South America fits right into Africa. And, 100 years ago, they were saying, oh, come on, that's just a coincidence. I don't know. That's probably what separated.
Yeah. Well, I would really be sad if Planet Hollywood was not a Caesars property.
I would too, because we enjoy playing there, and it's nice to get the benefits from Caesars rewards and to use the benefits there too. Yeah. Right.
I wonder how that works. Like, say, if you have a line of credit there and it gets sold.
Yeah.
Now, would I still have a line of credit with the new company, or
no?
It was Caesars. It would.
I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing not. No, you would have to go through the whole process again.
But anyway, that's interesting though when properties get sold.
Yeah. So that'll be coming up. I don't know, within the next year. I'm not sure how much time they have, but properties are definitely going to be sold. And speaking of Caesars properties, so you may remember a while back, Harrah's Cherokee was one of the very first casinos in the country to reopen. And you may have heard that here recently a COVID-19 cluster has occurred at Harrah's Cherokee. 5 employees of the table games section have tested positive for COVID-19. Now, they don't know exactly why, but yeah, hey, could be just go back to the break room and maybe you're, not as good with your mask or I don't know what. But apparently 5 or more constitutes a cluster.
Oh, really? Okay. So I thought it was 3, but 5 sounds better.
I think it's a state. I think this is specifically on a state basis. So North Carolina, 5 is a cluster.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I was thinking San Diego here, they keep talking about like 3 people get it at the same place who don't live together. Then that's a cluster.
Okay. Yeah.
If they live together, they count it as one.
Okay. I see.
You obviously could have got it at home.
Gotcha. Right.
But if they're like 5 employees that live in different places, then probably caught it at work, I would assume.
Yep. So hopefully everything will continue to go well there. I haven't heard of any shutdowns or anything. Those employees are being isolated, of course, or probably self-isolation, but hopefully they're okay, and we'll see, as we go forward. It's just every day is something different.
That is true. I mean, every day it's something different.
Yep.
And, human beings, we're not too good with change. We like things to run steady and true for the most part, right?
Yep. If we like our change slow and gradual.
Right. Or change that we instigate.
Right.
not that's instigated for us. Here's a perfect example, Mark. I texted you last night telling you that one of the people that we know from Harrah's Rincon who goes there regularly, almost on a daily basis, had an appointment with me and called up and said she couldn't make it. She was sick. Yeah. And I texted you saying, God, I hope it's not COVID, because then I'd be afraid to go, and I don't want to not go.
That's right. I know. That is scary, though, because it's like, well, what is she sick with? What could you possibly have caught? Right? If it's not COVID, you caught something else while you were wearing a mask all the time and social distancing, right?
I don't have the details.
Yeah.
It could have been something like, just not feeling well because she, ate too much.
Right. Allergies. Who knows? Yeah.
Allergies. I mean, it could be something like that. But I'm curious to find out because, if I knew somebody personally and I knew that they got it at the casino, I probably wouldn't go back.
Yeah. And, you and I have kind of talked about it too. We kind of, in a way, we think, are we doing the wrong thing? We love going up there, and that's why we continue to do it. But every time we're driving up there, we're thinking, the casino should probably be closed.
Right. Oh, well. It's what we do.
It's what we do.
Right. It's what we do. What can we do about that? Nothing.
There's nothing you can do.
Just have to go with it.
That's right. Oh, we got an email question from listener Christian. Let me go ahead and read his email here. My brother and I wanted to make our first Vegas trip this year, but we feel all the COVID restrictions would sour our first experience. As first-timers, we decided to postpone to next summer and hopefully have the full experience. I think that's a really great attitude to take because, if you've never been to Vegas before, you're not going to get the Vegas experience if you go right now.
No, not even close,
no.
I'd say.
You'd be able to gamble, but even then, you'd be distancing, you'd have mask on, so, yeah. Anyway, so he goes on to say, my question is, if you guys had the opportunity to go back and curate your first vacation to Vegas, what would you do? Where would you stay? And how would you play? And this is an interesting question, and we can kind of look at it 2 different ways. We can look at it as, what didn't we do on our real first trips to Vegas? Or what should we have done, or what shouldn't we have done? Or if we were going right now as our first time, what would we do? What are your thoughts, Mike?
Well, it's hard to say because when we first went, we were young.
Yeah.
Probably like, Christian, and we didn't have a lot of money.
Right.
So, I mean, seriously, our funds actually controlled where we stayed and what we did.
Yes.
And I mean, we had plenty of trips where, there's 5 of us in a room with 2 beds.
Yeah, right. Well,
stuff like that.
That's a good point. Now, because now you and I, our first trips to Vegas, we didn't go together, so it was
our
different.
Very first trips, yeah.
But we both were interested in gambling prior to going to Vegas for the first time. So I know for my first time, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to gamble. I wasn't really interested in going to do any of the other Vegas-y things, even though there wasn't quite as much to do back then. Like, they didn't have the 5-star restaurants and that kind of thing. But I remember my first trip, I went with our friend Mike James, and we stayed at Circus for like 1 or 2 nights, and Sahara for 1 or 2 nights. And, I played some blackjack and played craps for the first time. I remember I was playing $1 Don't Pass at Circus. And, I had a really good time. We both did. But, if I look back and think, what would I have done different? I don't know if I would have done anything different because, like you said, we didn't have a lot of money.
Right, exactly. And my first trip was very similar to that. The only thing I'll say different is that on the way there, we had a book that explained how to play craps. Mm-hmm. And Doug Morgan, my friend Doug, was driving, and I was reading the book, and we were trying to figure out how to play craps by, the book.
Right.
And we're, like, okay, now what is this, put odds and stuff like that. I mean, we were trying to figure it out, and that's what we did the whole drive there. And we played craps, and we played a lot of blackjack. But that's pretty much all we did because we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, we're going to Vegas with like $150.
Yeah.
So.
I guess if the question were, what would you recommend to somebody going for the first time now? If you're a gambler, you already know what you're going to do. You're going to go and gamble. But we would say, all the cliched things, right? Go see the Bellagio fountains. If you have time, go see the Las Vegas sign. Go up in the high roller. All those kinds of experiences. And beyond that, I would say stay on the Strip the first time. Maybe even shell out a little money to stay at one of the nicer places. But that would be it for me anyway.
Yeah, I would say, make sure you drive down the Strip at night.
Yeah, right. Lights. Something that you'll never want to do again. But do it that first time. You got to do that once.
Then your second trip, you go downtown.
Yeah, if you don't make it on your first trip, go downtown the second trip for sure.
Yeah, and see all the crazy stuff that goes on Fremont Street there.
Yeah. So, Christian, I guess, I don't know if you're really looking for recommendations, but, that would be it. Kind of all just the cliched things and, have a good time and expect to lose. And, you should have fun.
Be happy when you win.
That's right. All right, we got another email here. This one from Jacob, and it's a situation that he's asking our opinion about. And I think it's pretty interesting. So I'm going to start reading his email here. I'm a former dealer that left the department 6 months ago to work in corporate. So he's still working for a casino, just not, on the floor, apparently. I was playing Pai Gow poker at a casino within our group of properties tonight when a dealer set their hand wrong. The dealer played King Queen up top with 6, 7, 9, 10 Joker in the 5-card hand. So if you're thinking about that, King Queen in the 2-card hand, and then 6, 7, 9, 10 Joker, well, that Joker can act as an 8 to complete a straight. So the dealer actually has King Queen in the 2-card hand and a 10 high straight in the 5-card hand.
Right.
However, the dealer announced Ace High Pai Gow and began to flip over the first player's cards. So she didn't realize she had a straight. She thought she just had Ace High. She proceeded to push the player's $20 hand despite having him beat on both the top and bottom hands. So that should have been a loss for that first player, but instead she knocked the table and indicated that it was a push. Okay, going on with the email. The player on my right asked me if I had the dealer beat. And I said no, that her straight plays over my 2 pair, and then I sort of pointed at the Joker in the dealer's hand. The player immediately came closer to me, pinched me on the arm, yes, literally, and whispered into my ear to never fudging point out a mistake. Only she didn't say fudging. And scolded me for costing her money now that the dealer realized her mistake. She was playing 2 $25 hands. I was playing $100 on the hand. The only losers ended up being me and the player to my left, not the player to the right that had pinched him. Both of us were okay with the loss since it was the correct way to do it. The lady to my right pushed on both hands. She continued to tell me that I should not act like I fudging worked there. To which I said, well, I do, and I used to be a dealer. And if the dealer didn't catch that she had made a mistake, she may have to pay back all the money she paid out of her own pocket. The dealer thanked me for telling her the hand was not an ace-high pie gal, and that she would have had to pay it back. I knew this having worked there. Would you have pointed out this mistake? I feel like I did the right thing in telling her, but clearly the lady next to me did not think so. Now, this adds a whole new wrinkle to, we've talked about calling or not calling out mistakes that the dealer makes. Because in this case, Jacob actually knows that the dealer could have to pay out of her own pocket for making a mistake like this. So this is a different situation. He has a little more information to go on. What do you think about this, Dr. Mike?
Okay, well, I got a couple of things to say. Number one, this dealer needs to go back to training because not only did she have a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight with king, queen, seeing that she had king, queen, she could have used the joker as a jack and had king, queen, jack, 10, 9 straight, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. She wouldn't have played it that way because she would have only been playing a 6, 7 up top. But with all those cards that fit into a straight, she should have seen it, is what you're saying.
Right, exactly. I mean, she should have seen that the only thing she's missing for a straight is either a jack on the high side or an 8 on the lower straight. So, I mean, I can't believe she missed it.
It is a bad mistake. Anytime a dealer is playing a joker in their hand and it looks like an ace high, you'd think they'd go back and really make sure they don't have a straight or a flush.
First thing you'd look for would be a straight or a flush, right?
Yeah.
Now, as far as calling it out, of course, I think Jacob did the right thing because, number one, he works there.
Sure.
And number two, he knows that, she's going to have to pay it back.
Right.
Now, if you're a player and you don't work there, and you don't know whether she has to pay it back or not, do you say something? Maybe not.
Maybe not, but when Jacob is saying, I feel I did the right thing, well, he definitely did the right thing.
I think he definitely
it can
did
come
the right
down
thing.
to semantics, but is, calling out a mistake like that the right thing? Well, yeah, it's the right thing. Now,
well, for him, it's definitely the right thing.
Sure.
He should do it. Now, let's say it's just me and you and some other guy on the table.
Yeah.
And we see the mistake and we look at our hands, and for us, it wouldn't matter. But if we call it out, the other guy's going to lose.
Mm-hmm, right.
Do we call it out?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, when we've talked about this, both of us kind of agreed that no, we wouldn't call it out. That it's the casino and the dealer's responsibility to know what they're doing. But I thought this story was particularly interesting because of this wrinkle of the fact that he used to be a dealer and he still works for the company that owns at least this casino. I don't think he worked at that casino. It's just, within the chain.
Right.
So, yeah, it's an interesting wrinkle.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I knew the procedure, like I knew, for instance, like we were at Harris Rincon, and I knew the dealer would have to pay for that if they caught it, I probably would say something.
Yes.
Because, I wouldn't want the dealer to have to pay a couple $100.
Yeah.
So I'd probably call that out. If I didn't know, if they have to pay or not, I'd probably just sit there with my mouth shut, I guess.
Yeah. I love this question, though, because it's a great way to kind of look at it from both sides. So,
yeah. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you don't want to be a jerk, but again, you don't want to screw somebody else or lose a hand.
Yeah.
So,
Good. Anyway, good question, Jacob. Thanks for writing in. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is Tristan.
Hey guys, it's Tristan from Orange County. I just had a question. If you have a place bet for the dealers as a tip, do you have to call player control to have it kept up there? Or are they going to collect if it hits and take it down every time? Do they have to do that? Or can they leave it up there and if you get on a hot roll, collect every time, like the 6 or the 8 hits? Because I've done it a couple of times and they said they had to take it down, but they had kind of a smirk on their face. And I kind of feel like if I called player control, it would be able to stay up there and they could collect more money. I don't know. Let me know. All right, bye.
Yeah, it's probably going to depend on the casino, but let's talk about what Tristan's talking about here. Let's say you have decided to tip the dealers by making a place bet on the 5. So you give them $5 and they put a place bet up there for themselves. Now, if a 5 is rolled, what do they do? Do they just collect the $7 winnings, or do they collect the $7 winnings and the initial $5 bet? Now, we know that there are some casinos where their policy is the dealers have to do that. They have to take the bet down. It happened to us quite a bit in Atlantic City where we were making small, like $1 bets on the place bets for them. They said they had to actually take those bets down. But in some casinos, if you were to say player control, when you make that bet for them, then they will ask you what you want to do with that bet when it hits. So in the example that I gave, if a 5 hits, you could say to them, just collect the $7 and keep 5 out there. Or you could say, take all $12. Or you could say press, and now they have a $10 bet and they collect $2. So it'll depend on the casino, but if you really want to be clear and they allow it, you would say player control, and then you as the player would have control over what is done with that bet.
Yeah, that situation really, really does vary a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, out at Harris Rincon, when I've done that, they know I normally want player control.
Yes.
They'll say, what do you want to do?
Yes.
And, sometimes I say, collect this one, we'll press the next one. Sometimes I say, what do you want to do?
Right,
and then,
sure.
then they usually press it, but sometimes they collect. So I think it depends on how much leeway the casino wants to give their dealers.
Yeah, and I remember the first time it really surprised us was when we were at Borgata in Atlantic City, and you had made like a horn bet for them, and it won. I don't know what came up, 11 or 2 or who knows, but it won. And you were asking them to press it, and they said, no, we have to collect the whole thing, the winnings and the initial bet. And you were like, what? Because you hadn't come across that, at least with a bet like that, a horn bet that kind of pays at those high odds. And they said, no, we've got to take it down.
Yeah, and I still think that shouldn't be that way because it's costing the dealers money, right?
Well, no. If you want the honest answer, they're getting more money out of it because collecting that bet is better than having the bet out there. So
right, but I mean, if it hit again, they'd be like,
well, sure, if it hit again, but that's a big if. Yes,
twice, and not very many people are going to make a horn bet and then replace it the next roll with another horn bet.
Yeah,
right?
That's right too. That's true too. Yes.
So, I don't know. I think most dealers would rather it stay there just because they like to be in the game.
Yeah, and they kind of like you to tell them what to do with the bet. That's kind of fun for them in a way. It's like, okay, what are we going to do, Dr. Mike?
Right.
So anyway, yeah, ask for player control, and in most cases, I'm guessing they will let you decide what to do. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Andrew from Massachusetts. I recently returned from a trip to Nashville and wanted to share a trip report of a few of the casinos we stopped at on our way. Our first night, we stopped at Maryland Live Hotel Casino. The rooms and casino were surprisingly very nice. The standard plexiglass and masks were required. I was amazed at how high the minimums were, with 4 $50 craps tables packed with 8 players each. I played and took a pretty good beating there. We then continued on to Nashville, where no gambling was done, but we had an all-around good time there. I was shocked to see how few people were wearing masks there. On our way back home, we spent 2 nights in Atlantic City at the Ocean Casino and Resort. The rooms were nice, and the casino was non-smoking and clean. All indoor dining was closed, and so it was a challenge to find good food. At the places we did find our meals, it took over an hour to come, which made us frustrated. Ocean had the only pool in town, and this only added to the crowd at our hotel. I decided to play at the Ocean Casino, and the craps was pretty choppy for the most part. Not only did Ocean have the plexiglass dividers between players, but an additional one between the 3 players on each side and the dealers. This made it incredibly hard to shoot the dice, and one of the players' throws actually hit the dealer on the opposite side, landed on the table, and was considered a legitimate roll of 4. The next roll was a 4, and so there were no hard feelings, but it was just bizarre to see. In all, we had a great trip and are putting together a trip to Vegas in October, and we hope to see you out there. As always, love the show. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. It sounds like Atlantic City. We're going to hear a couple calls about the conditions in Vegas here in a little bit, but it really does sound like Atlantic City. It's much harder to enjoy yourself, because of the regulations, the no food and no drinking, and it just seems harder. And I understandably, it hit them a lot harder than it did us here on the West Coast, including Vegas.
Yeah, I wonder what you do if you're staying in a casino and they don't have indoor dining.
Yeah, I guess you have to go out or get it to go, or yeah.
That'd be rough. I mean, you do have to eat. Even you and I have to eat.
Yeah,
Mark.
eventually.
We don't enjoy it, but eventually we have to eat.
All right, thanks for the reports, Andrew. All right, next up is Nick.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It is Nick calling from New England. Heading out to play a little golf right now. My new form of gambling now that casinos are shut down, sports are off, so, I got to find a new way to lose money, and that's on the golf course. With that being said, we were talking about our dream foursome that we'd like to go play golf with. Kind of got me thinking about your show, and I was wondering, once, everything gets back to normal, what is your dream sixsome, eightsome, tensome, however many people they're going to let at a craps table? Who are the dream people that you would like to have? I mean, is it people that you can teach a little bit? Is it people that are going to gamble a lot of money? I mean, what excites you? What specific people would you like to have at your table? Love the show. Keep up the great work, guys. Go Bucks.
Wow, that's quite a question. I guess I'll try to go first here. I think I might want to have Phil Ivey on the table, the poker player. I know he loves craps. And I think that Dr. Taylor even said that he was on a table with him once. He might be a little too intense, but I don't know. Might be kind of fun. And if we're talking about specific people, I don't know, maybe Einstein? He famously said, God doesn't roll dice or something to that effect. So, they say, well, God may not, but why don't you try it, Albert? That might be kind of fun. What do you think, Mike?
He was probably a good guy to hang out with, Einstein.
Maybe. He might have been a little odd, but yeah, maybe.
No, he got a lot of women, so I don't know. He might be a good one to have on your table. Well, I'll tell you what. If I can pick people I don't actually know.
Sure.
Okay, I'd take Charles Barkley.
Okay, that's a good choice. Yep.
Yeah, I'd love to be on a table with Charles Barkley just because I think he's fun.
Yeah.
Right? Let's see. I'd probably go with Christopher Walken.
Really?
I want to see how intense and crazy he'd be on a craps table.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. I'd probably go with Jesus just because, I think that's got to be good luck.
Sure, right? He might be a dice influencer.
Yeah, he could probably influence the dice better than anyone could ever.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? Yeah, Einstein wouldn't be a bad pick.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking, maybe, a young Stephen Hawking.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Now, if I have to pick people that I know, I'm going to take Firebet Phil from Harris.
Okay, nice.
Because he's always good for good roles.
That's true, yeah.
Adam, travel fanboy Adam, because he's had some good roles for me in the past.
Yep. Tim Lawson.
You.
Oh, me, okay.
Tim Lawson, just so he'll play the don't and I can razz him a little bit.
Eric Rosenthal.
Eric Rosenthal would be another good one to have on the table.
Yeah.
How about Shannon?
Shannon's a great shooter.
That guy has had some good roles for us in the past.
Hey, I'll tell you what, then if we could pick fictional characters, how about Data?
Ooh, Data. Yeah, because he could really influence the dice.
That's right. We've seen it.
So yeah, we saw. We got proof of that. Yeah, that'd be a good person. Yeah, so I guess that'd be my pick. There's a lot of people. I mean, real live people that I know.
Oh, sure, of course.
That I enjoy.
We're kind of putting together. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a gazillion of them. I could go on and on. I shouldn't even list them.
I know. It's like who are I know we're leaving people out, right?
I could sit here and go on and on about people that we've met that I like to play craps with.
Yeah, and
my dad.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'd like to have my dad on the table. So anyway, yeah.
And that's a good list. We didn't think about this ahead of time, so this is just off the top of our head. So there you go.
Off our head, yeah. I'll tell you what, Nick, if I had to gamble while I golf, I would be broke in about, 4 holes. I'm a terrible golfer.
That's right. I bet I'll have the worst score. Who wants to bet with me?
That'd be the only thing I could possibly bet on.
I'd probably lose
I'm one of those golfers that hits one good shot, and I think, I got this down. And then there's about 40 bad shots. Yeah, right. And then I finally have another good one. And after that 40-second shot that's good, I think I got this down.
Yeah, and then you move on to the second hole.
Right. And then I'm on to the second hole. Oh.
All right. Next call.
Hey guys, this is Jason from Orange County calling with a story, a comment, and a couple questions. It came to my attention that Dr. Mike has a big collection of 50-cent pieces from playing blackjack over the years and never cashed them out. So I wanted to share the story about some of my experiences with my 50-cent pieces that I've brought home from the casinos as well, where a couple times, once at McDonald's, once at a gas station, and a couple other situations where I was trying to pay with exact change and using a 50-cent piece where a younger clerk didn't recognize it as a 50-cent piece, but as $1. So I go to McDonald's and, let's say the bill's $2.58 and I give her exact change using the 50-cent piece. They think it's $1. They think I'm giving them $3.08 and they give me 2 quarters back. And I'm just like looking at the quarters, I'm kind of confused and not understanding and walking away and just, so it's possible that 50-cent piece collection, in reality, if you use it the right way, it could be worth twice as much. Anyways, the other thought that I had was, Dr. Mike, when he's got the grandkids, at the pool or something, he can just chuck them into the pool and have them go dive for it, like an old work buddy of mine used to do, and just sit back with a drink and laugh as they went down. He told me you can keep whatever you got, but if they leave rust stains on the bottom of my pool, I'm taking them all back. The funny thing about it is I can't picture Dr. Mike doing it unless he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt, the Havana hat, tropical drink. I don't know why that sticks in my brain. But anyways, my comments about you two and how you guys are so kind of symbiotic in your relationship and you understand each other and really still get along and are okay with each other's little microsyncrasies and stuff like that. It's just a refreshing, nice thing to see. And I wanted to give you guys a compliment on that. A couple of questions. My first question is, the other day I was playing video poker and I watched this younger guy sit down. He was playing some Ultimate X, like 3 lines. And I saw him a couple times in a actually better double-double type situation where he hold like a pair of 3s, but also hold like the face card king, trying to pair up and make his money back. I don't know if he's trying to be conservative or just didn't know. So I kind of watched it and shook my head the first time. And then as I was getting up to leave, he had the same exact situation. He held the 3s, punched the hold button on the king, and right behind him I said, no, hold just the 3s, buddy, not the king. And sort of walked away. And I thought, is that even proper etiquette? Is that something that I'm okay doing? Is that against the rules or what? I don't know. Anyways, my second question is, what is this obsession with video keno? I play video poker and some of them have multi-games where you can choose blackjack or keno or poker. And I see so many people playing video keno. Slot machine payouts are somewhere in the low 90s to high 80s generally for expected return. Whereas keno, mid 80s, you're better off playing a slot machine than video keno. And I see these people just punching numbers in all the time. So I suppose I don't understand, but it's just interesting to see so many people doing it. So anyways, thanks guys for your show. Really appreciate it. Big fan. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Well, as far as video keno goes, well, first of all, a lot of gamblers are not thinking about expected value. They're not thinking about percentages. They're not thinking, boy, I should be playing slots instead. What they probably like about video keno is a sense of control. Hey, I'm picking these numbers, so I can decide. And honestly, you don't have a lot of choices at a slot machine. Sometimes, you press on certain things, but a lot of times those are predetermined. So, it could be just, do they enjoy it more than slots? So you can't always say, hey, why are you doing this? This is a stupid way to play. Because we've said that before, people are going to play however they want to, what brings them the most enjoyment, and we're all for that.
Right. Well, I think you're right with the keno. I think people have that sense of they're controlling their own destiny by picking their numbers.
Yeah, these are my numbers.
Right. And I also think, like the young man that was playing the video poker, he probably should be playing keno. Because,
well,
if you're going to keep the king, it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, all right, let's talk about that a little bit, because so Jason was saying, what's the etiquette there? And I'm thinking, and Mike, I'll let you say what you think about what I'm going to say. Go ahead and say something if you want. It's completely up to you. Just be prepared for the response. Now, you could have a horrible response like, hey, mind your own business. This is my game. I think the most common response will be him arguing with you, telling you why you're wrong and why holding the king is a good move. And maybe on that rare occasion, they'll say, oh, thanks, I'm new to this and I really don't know. Just be prepared for that if you want to give unsolicited advice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think if you phrase it politely, like you say, oh, in that game, you really, probably shouldn't hang on to the king because you're trying to get 4 of a kind and the king just eating up your chances. If you said something like that, most people, and especially if it was a younger guy, would probably say, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. If it was an older person, I probably wouldn't say anything because I figure, they probably been playing a while.
That's right.
They know what they're doing. This is the way they want to do it.
But it sounds like, Jason, maybe you should only hold the 3s, dude, and then drop the mic and walked away. I don't know. Maybe that got the point across. Who knows?
Maybe. Although he was probably sitting there afterwards thinking, really? Well, why would I want to do that? Come back. Explain to me what's going on here. And keno, I mean, how many times have we sat at that bar and played video poker and there's somebody playing keno and I'm thinking, unless you're eating, why are you playing keno?
Well, everybody has the type of gambling that they enjoy, Mike. And you and I have talked about how we can't spend a lot of time at a slot machine. It's just not our thing. Whereas your brother and your dad can. They love doing that. And then conversely, we love spending hours at the craps table. And your dad can only take that for a certain while. He just gets fed up with the 7s.
Right. He gets fed up and he gets antsy. He doesn't want to wait out all those bad rolls for the good roll.
Yeah. So do you still have all your 50-cent pieces?
I certainly do. I've
Okay.
got a bunch of buckets in my closet full of 50-cent pieces. And I don't know if I explained that before, but that all started years ago. My mom was a waitress for most of her life. And anytime, she'd get a 50-cent piece as a tip, she'd bring it home and give it to me.
Oh, okay.
Just as a fun thing, right? So then when I was old enough to go to Vegas and stuff, every time I got a 50-cent piece for a time and a half at blackjack, I thought, I'm going to save this. And so I just saved them. I would always just put them in my pocket. And now that there's a national coin shortage, I figure, I don't know how many, we probably got $200 in just regular coins, nickels, dimes, quarters. I probably should turn that in.
Yeah, really. For the good of the country.
I don't know why. Yeah, for the good of the country. Maybe it's me that's causing the shortage.
It could be you.
Pretty soon, the house is raided by some FBI agents. Yeah, right. You got to turn in those coins. It's getting ridiculous.
I will say this, Jason, even though we've talked about how we might not call attention to a mistake that a dealer made, if we were in any other environment, like at a cashier at fast food or something like that, and we got the wrong change, like they thought a 50-cent piece was actually $1, we'd probably call attention to that.
Yeah, well, I always do because I feel bad for the people who work there because sometimes, you get in trouble with your boss or something. Yeah. And so I'm not trying to push off my 50-cent pieces as dollars. Although I have had it where I've had $1 like a Susan B. Anthony and they think it's a quarter.
Oh, I know. It's so easy.
And I have to point out that's $1. Yep. Oh, okay. I do love coins though.
But do you collect them? Do you really have a collection? Or do you just have a big pile of coins?
Well, both.
Okay.
But I do have some valuable coins.
Okay.
Yeah, some very old pennies and coins. I actually got a Roman coin.
Oh, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. They don't really look like coins.
Yeah.
You think it's probably not really worth that much.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of cool to collect stuff like that. I like to collect $2 bills too.
Oh,
I don't know how you feel about $2
No,
bills,
I think I remember you saying that. Yeah. Yeah, those are hard to find.
Well, yeah, you can go to the bank and get them.
Sure.
Just I like to get them, I like to come across them. Some lady paid the other day at my office $40 in $2 bills.
All of them?
All of them.
Wow.
They were all $2 bills.
Wow.
And the girls took it. I saw it that night, and I just, why did she pay with $2 bills? But yeah, we were ecstatic when I came home, my family. It's like, oh my gosh,
nice.
$22 bills.
All right, next up is Neil. He actually called twice, and I spliced the calls together, and you'll definitely know where the splice is because I think in the first call he was at home, and for the second call he was in the car. So here's Neil.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Neil from Riverside. So right before COVID hit, I was listening to one of your old episodes about you guys going to a bunch of different casinos here locally because I'm close to you guys. And I said, I'm going to make a list of all of the Southern California casinos and go and just try to travel around them as work kind of takes me in those areas anyways, and grab a chip from each of them and kind of evaluate the gaming. But lo and behold, COVID hit. I'm glad that casinos are opening and precautions are being taken. And so I ventured out to a couple of things just to pop my head in as work takes me around those places. And besides your guys' place in Harrah's, Southern California, it looks like the only other casino with a craps table open currently, close enough to me, is the Agua Caliente Rancho Mirage location. And it appears to be a $15 minimum all the time. So I might have to scratch that itch if places closer to me like Pachanga and San Manuel, who actually removed their one craps table, and Paula don't reopen their craps table anytime soon. Dr. Mike, I hope you feel better, and can't wait to maybe see you guys for the Circa opening in October. We've booked a room at the plaza there. I'm a big fan of staying at the plaza, especially in their renovated rooms, and I didn't like the idea of paying $300 a night for the grand opening at Circa itself, but I wanted to experience the Stadium Swim pool complex. So I was able to book a cabana for Stadium Swim at Circa, which, to my surprise, is done with a minimum spend instead of a fee. So the lounge chair access, the day beds, the lily pads, and all of the cabanas requires just a small deposit, and it's not a flat fee, which I think is a great move. You can go see the renderings on Circa's website, and there's actually a 360 animated view of what the layout is going to look like from the vantage point of the specific chairs that you guys are looking at. So thought that might be a benefit for listeners to hear, and hopefully see you guys out there in October. Thanks so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Bye.
Yeah, so just a reminder, the casino at Circa is scheduled to open at the end of October, but their hotel is not scheduled to open until the end of December. So we're hoping to go at the end of October for the casino opening, although that's still up in the air. I mean, it's impossible to make plans this far in advance, and it might turn into a last-minute decision for us.
Yeah, I think that probably will be a last-minute decision, especially, who knows, October. It's going to be here quicker than you think, right?
Quicker than you think, but it's too far away to make plans. That's the world we live in.
Right, because it's almost August. It'll be August next week. And then it's just August, September, and then, you're in October. So normally we'd have already had reservations.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
I would have already called and got my hotel booked.
Yeah.
But we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Neil was talking about how there aren't a lot of craps tables near him now. Yeah, it really seems like craps is disappearing from Southern California casinos. And we're seeing that at Harrah's Southern California because a lot of people who, say used to go to San Manuel or places that used to have crap tables, they're now coming down to Harrah's. And again, Harrah's only has 2 real tables, so that's a maximum of 12 players. And Mike, the other night when we were there Saturday night, one of the tables was a $50 minimum. The other was $100, which we've never seen before at Harrah's.
No, there were a lot of complaints about that.
But the tables were full.
They were full, and that's what the pit boss said. He said, well, they're full. Why wouldn't we make it 100?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I agree with them. That's what I'd be doing if I owned the casino. But they do have the video.
Yeah, they've got roll to win.
Shoot to win,
and the shoot to win. Yeah.
Yeah, and people can play those if they want lower limits.
But even those, are crowded.
Yeah, they're crowded. Yeah, some of them were pretty crowded the whole night. Our table was a $100 table for about 3 hours, maybe?
Something like that. And there was one spot available, and that was fine with me because I was able to just give you money. I sat back away from the table and just gave you money to bet, which was good for me because, a $50 table is too much for me. A $25 table is too much for me, but I could give you lower amounts, to put on your bet. So that worked out well for me anyway. But then when it did go down to 50, I started playing. But even then, I had to be pretty conservative.
Right. Just make a couple of bets and hope they hit.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a few reports about trips to Las Vegas. and they vary quite a bit. People have some different opinions, different experiences. So let's start off with Josh.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, Josh from Indy. I'm a little late on this call, but I went to Vegas from the 9th to the 14th, so I just missed calling in on the last one. Wanted to just call in. I did 3 nights at the D, 2 nights at the Wynn. It was amazing. I mean, I've seen a lot of things on Twitter, people asking if they should go, hearing things on your podcast. I would definitely suggest going. It sucks wearing a mask all day, but you still go to Vegas. Some things aren't normal, but it's still fun. Still had a blast. Free drinks are there. The gambling's there, and less people. So I would definitely suggest going. Of course, if you have health issues that wouldn't do well there, then maybe wait a little bit. But young, healthy people, definitely go for it and have fun. I do have a story about the crash table at the D. It was my role. I hit the all small already, and I hit every number except for the 10 on the tall, and it was just super hot. It was getting crazy in there. Everybody's getting hyped up. All of a sudden, the lights go out. Word is the whole block was having trouble with the electricity. I'm not sure what was going on. It only lasted a few minutes. Then the lights came back on. Luckily, then I rolled that 10. So we hit the all tall. All of a sudden, the lights go out again. This time, the lights were out for about 20 minutes. People are talking. They said the whole half of the block downtown went dark. Pretty crazy. No one knew what to do that worked there. They had their phone flashlights out. I don't know why there wasn't emergency lights or anything that were covering the chips and all that. But they just didn't know what to do. It was really quite funny. The lights finally came back on, played a little bit more, then finally 7'd out. It was much more interesting if you'd be there, but obviously I'm 2-3 weeks behind, so the story isn't that great. But as you can imagine, it was very interesting. Just want to say, love the podcast, and did really want to mention that, you know, if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, definitely go check it out. You can still have a blast. Love the show. Take care, guys.
All right. So Josh is encouraging people to go. And like I said, we're going to get some different opinions coming up. I am a little surprised to hear that the staff at the D didn't know what to do when the lights went out. You'd think that'd be a pretty basic part of training, especially when it came to protecting the chips.
Yeah, and I would think that they would have, like he said, like emergency lights that would come on.
Yeah.
So that people could see, because someone could fall, get injured.
Sure.
I mean, you're setting yourself up for a ton of liability there.
Yeah.
But, you know, some casinos will do anything to cool a guy off a hot roll.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't work for him, did it? He still rolled the 10.
Didn't work for him. He still rolled the 10. I'll tell you what, let's turn the lights off for a minute and see how that does.
Oh, I don't want to pay out another all tall small. Larry, hit the switch.
Oh, poor Derek Stevens. Tried to turn the lights out.
Poor Derek Stevens, yeah. All right, next let's hear from Paul.
Hey, Mike and Dr. Mike. Mm-hmm. This is Paul from San Antonio calling with a trip report from Las Vegas, Nevada. We are here staying at the Mandalay Bay, and I can tell you that things are weird. That's the best way to describe it. It's mostly normal. The pools are open. The tables are open. The minimums are more or less normal. $15 seems to be the normal crap set, but that's kind of across the board, which is a weird thing. Yeah, you go to Caesars, $15. You go to Flamingo, $15. It's kind of a weird deal. All in all, Vegas is back in action, but it's a little weird. The restaurants are open. They're a little weird. There's no bars. You can not eat at the bar. You can eat at a place that has a bar, but don't go to the bar because you'll have to eat at a table. We've had a great time this weekend, and we are very grateful to the people that are here. The dealers have been great. The servers have been great. We've had a good time. All in all, it's great, but weird. Mike and Dr. Mike, you guys rock. Hang in there. One day, Las Vegas will blossom again. I really appreciate what you guys do. Keep doing it.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, kind of like what Christian was saying, where he and his brother are going to wait till next summer. And yeah, that's a good idea because Vegas is weird right now.
Well, I'll interject here and tell you a story that my cousin, his wife, and his 2 sons, who are like 12 and 11 years old, went this last weekend and stayed at Mandalay Bay.
Okay.
And they had a great time.
Okay.
The pool was open at Mandalay Bay.
Yeah.
And his wife told me they had like a cabana thing. And as long as they stayed in their little cabana area, the four of them, they could take their mask off.
Okay, sure.
And once they left the cabana, they had to wear their mask. And the boys enjoyed the wave pool. I guess they have a wave pool there.
Yeah.
The furthest north they got was the Venetian. I think they said they went to Venetian to eat. And they enjoyed that. And their description, now they're not Vegas people.
Okay, why'd they go then?
Well,
I mean, it's a strange thing during COVID to say, if they're not Vegas people, to pick Vegas.
Right. Well, she's a teacher and my cousin's a sheriff. And so he gets like 3 or 4 days off in a row at times. So they just had time off and they just thought, let's do something different. So they went to Vegas and they enjoyed themselves. They're not gamblers. They barely gambled. But, they walked around the strip and, at one point, the 12-year-old wanted to stop and get his picture taken with some showgirls. Mm-hmm. His mom was not thrilled about that because the showgirls were showing a lot of skin.
Yeah.
But he thought it would be cool to get his picture taken with them. So he did. But yeah, they had a pretty good time. And the reason I bring it up is because, they're a young family and that's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hear another report from another Josh.
Hi, gentlemen. I just got back from Vegas. This is Josh from Austin, and I thought I'd let you know how it is out there. First of all, air travel during a pandemic is the best, other than the fact you might die. There's not a lot of crowds. The bathrooms are all clean. The plane is clean. I got the emergency exit on both ways, in and out. It was fantastic. You had to wear your mask the whole time, but that's all right. Once we got to the casino, we approached the craps table and I saw the plexiglass and I told my buddy, I hate it already. And I did. It was 3 people on each side. The table limits at Mandalay were 15 for the most part, bumped up to 25 for a while. But I just hated the plexiglass. I didn't hear anything the dealers said at all because not only do they have masks over their face, but they have the shields over their face. Really little communication. Craps is a friendly sport. It's very social, and it just took that aspect out of it, and I hated it. Hated it like poison. The pool was interesting. We didn't ever have to wait in line, but once we got there, you had to have your mask on, even if you were sitting in a chair. And so we just combated that by being in the water and, getting our beer and standing in the water. That way we didn't have to wear our mask. But they were definitely on it. They had people walking around the whole time. They had people walking around with masks, extra masks in their hand, handing them out to people that didn't have them. It was a really bizarre trip in that respect. The strip itself, we didn't wear one when we were walking down the strip. The crowds weren't huge, so we didn't feel that was a problem. But every time we walked into a casino, we put it on. There weren't a lot of crowds. We did go to several restaurants. We went to Hell's Kitchen. We had a good meal there, and they had the tables spread out, so we felt pretty safe there. And then we went to Strip Steak at Mandalay, and we had a good steak there. Overall, I won't go back unless they drop these restrictions, but we had pushed this trip already about 3 times, so we just wanted to go and get it over with. But until they drop this, I won't go back. It just wasn't enjoyable. Everyone was nice. Everyone was very happy to see us as tourists and gambling, but it's just not the same. So take it for what it's worth. Overall, we'll be back, but I hope you guys are well, and thanks for everything. Take care.
Okay, so this Josh is saying, I'm not going to go back until this is over. So,
well, I'll tell you, Josh, my new thing is I'm going to start every sentence with the words, except for the fact that I might die. And then I'm going to proceed with whatever sentence I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's great.
I'd love that. I mean, that's kind of how I feel every trip to Vegas.
Oh, well, every trip out of the house for me.
Yeah, right. Except for the fact that I might die. Well, it sounds like he had a good time, but not.
Well, he didn't he didn't really like the gambling, right? Especially at the craps table. Sounded like he had a couple of good meals and they were still able to walk around. But yeah, he really did not like the plexiglass at the craps table, which we have not experienced yet. But I can understand that. We haven't
experienced the plexiglass.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time hearing the dealers out at Harrah's Southern Cal.
So do I. And I have trouble having them understand me.
Right. And I have a hard time hearing as it is, just an age thing. But some of the dealers talk kind of low, and they're talking to me. And if it's about the game, I kind of know what they're getting at. But when they're making conversation, it's like, what? And, it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah. We did get one more trip report from a listener who wished to remain anonymous. He was there from a Thursday to a Tuesday, and he said it was a cluster fudge. Only he didn't say fudge. He said a fair amount of people didn't care about wearing a mask, or at least not wearing it properly. It would fall off their nose or off their nose and mouth altogether. He said things were way worse downtown. He said the casinos didn't care at all. There was no social distancing whatsoever. So, this listener just real negative on the whole thing. So everybody's going to have a different experience. Everybody's going to expect a different experience. Everybody is going to react to their experience differently. So this was another take on it. Although he did say that the updated rooms at Harrah's are really, really nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I have been getting a lot of emails recently from hosts in Las Vegas, wanting me to come for some event with a lot of enticements.
Yeah.
And, I read them every day and I think, God, I'd love to take advantage of some of this. But then I think, well, for one thing, I'm too busy at work right now.
Sure.
So that's part of the problem.
Right.
Having been closed for a while.
Yeah. And you had a scare recently, right? So.
Right. But I just don't know. There's not really much they can entice me with to get me to go right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised we still do our weekly trip here.
Like you said, yeah. Yep. All right. But I think we talked about this on the last episode too. Whether or not you should go, is up to you. We've all got our reasons to and to not go to Las Vegas right now. All right, on the last episode, we were talking about the possibility of getting free play instead of cash for a jackpot, basically to avoid the W2G. Well, Professor Slots called in with some thoughts.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's John Friedel from the Professor Slots podcast, website, and YouTube channel. I hope you're feeling better, Dr. Mike. Thanks for bringing me up on your last episode when you talked about Montana. Every state sure is different when it comes to slots. But I'm calling for another reason. You've asked if casinos ever offer free slots play in lieu of winning a jackpot. Of all my W2G jackpots from playing slots, no casino has ever offered to make it free slots play. They've never even hinted at doing so. Whenever the slot attendant walks up, they just start filling out the paperwork for the IRS. I think the only way you can get out of accepting that W2G is to refuse the jackpot entirely. However, I was offered free slots play from a casino when I won a car. That wasn't a W2G jackpot, but instead a $10.99 miscellaneous promotional prize. As soon as I won, I was barraged with questions. One was, can we take your picture for our website? No thanks. But others were, do you want the car, the $40,000 cash option, or the equivalent in free slots play? $40,000 in free slots play, that was a question I hadn't anticipated. Maybe it was my slight hesitation as I thought it over, but it really seemed like they pushed hard for me accepting the free slots play. Persuasive even. But I knew enough about how to win at that casino to know perfectly well free slots play was a bad idea there. I hope this helps. If you win a promotional or sweepstakes prize, like winning a car or a slots tournament, ask for free slots play if the casino doesn't ask you first. Take care, guys. For anything non-slots related, I tell my audience to look to your show. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thanks, John. Dr. Mike, if you or I ever hit that royal flush, we've got to remember to ask, can we get that in free play?
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I just hope I'm alive when that happens, Mark.
Yeah, I hope you're alive when you hit that royal flush as well, Dr. Mike.
It's probably going to be after I'm long gone.
Yeah.
Somebody finds one of my cards in the trash at one of the casinos, plays it, and hits the royal.
That's because I've seen a lot of your cards end up in the trash.
Yes, you have. You've seen a lot of my stuff end up in the trash, Mark.
All right. Well, let's hear from Gary, who's got a report on MGM Northfield.
Hey, Dr. Mike and Mark. This is Gary in Ohio. I just wanted to kind of call in real quick, give you a review of MGM Northfield. It's a racino. Was really getting the itch. Didn't feel quite comfortable going to Vegas, so I decided to break my rule about local gambling and give it a shot. I went up there about 10 minutes and realized it kind of sucks. Well, real sorry to ramble on all about the review there. Hope you guys stay safe, and hopefully we get back to Vegas pretty soon. Bye.
All right, so didn't leave much of an impression on him, apparently.
Don't you hate those detailed reviews?
Oh, my gosh, just went on and on.
That's probably the best review we've ever got.
Yeah, that's right. That's all we need to know. It sucks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It sucks.
All right, next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Andrew from Dayton, Ohio, on our way out on a family vacation out to South Dakota. Stopped in at the Diamond Jo Casino in Dubuque, Iowa. Brought in $200 for a bankroll. They had 2 craps tables open, 3 on each side, $10 minimums on both tables. So that ate up my $200 bankroll in about an hour and a half. Parlayed all my hard ways just as the doctor ordered. Unfortunately, never hit it the second time. And that nasty 7 came out quite often. So unfortunately, I lost all 200. Dealers were good, pretty friendly, but the table was fairly quiet just because we were losing all around. So unfortunately, that 200 went away quick, but had a good time. First time playing craps in about 6 years. Been listening to your show, first time caller, and first time I've tried some of your strategies that I've listened to on the podcast. So thanks a lot. Keep up the good work. Had a great time. Bye-bye.
All right, so if I understand this call correctly, Andrew followed your advice, Dr. Mike, and lost all his money.
Well, he lost $200, Mark. He didn't lose all of his money.
Oh, okay. So I should have been a little more clear that he didn't lose every single dollar that he has in the bank and investments, just the $200 that he brought with him.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah,
it's the lying I don't like. Well, I'll tell you what, Andrew, you got to head out to Vegas when we're there, and I guarantee you're going to win.
Okay.
Guarantee it.
Mike guarantees a hard way parlay win. Is that specifically what you're getting at?
Yes, that's specifically what I'm guaranteeing. As long as he's on the table with me, he will eventually hit a hard way parlay win.
All right.
If I have to pay him myself, Mark,
that's right.
he'll win.
All right. 6 easy 6. Andrew, here's the money for the hard 6. I'm going to pretend that was hard. Here's $100. I'm just going to give it to you.
You know, my wife's cousin Kim lives in Dubuque, Iowa. And when we go back to Minnesota, she usually drives up there. I think now we're going to have to go down to Dubuque and visit her.
Yep, you better check it out.
Yeah, now that I know they have 2 craps tables there.
There you go. All right, last call from our buddy Eric.
Hey, Mark and Mike. This is Eric A. in Spokane, Washington. It's my first time calling into the show, although I've played dice with you guys many times in Las Vegas at various tables, and it's always been a blast, and miss seeing you guys. Maybe later this year, who knows? Going to try and make it out for the Circa opening in October, but not really holding my breath at this point. The main reason I'm calling is a follow-up to a call from your last show, number 213. Caller Cody called in about the Northern Quest Casino in Spokane, which happens to be my local casino here in town. And I wanted to add a clarifying statement to something that I think he was getting at that maybe got missed. First of all, he's absolutely right about the crew and the staff out there. Fantastic crew, really laid back, knows their stuff. My only complaint about the joint is that I wish the clientele tipped a little bit more, because I feel like the dealers out there go long stretches with no tippers, and it's a shame. So I always try and take care of them when I'm at the table. I've not been out in a while because of the state of the world, but hopefully someday. I believe the point of his call was specifically with the odds behind the pass line bet. Northern Quest allows what I believe is known as a full double odds bet, which on the 6 and the 8 allows you to put, instead of 2 times odds, it lets you put 2.5 times odds.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, if you put down a $5 pass line bet and you would normally back it up with $10 behind the line for 2 times odds, if the point happens to be a 6 or an 8, they will allow you to put your pass line bet up to $6. You add 1 white chip to the top, so you're going to a $6 pass line bet, and then they will allow you to put $15 behind the line, which is obviously a better house edge breakdown for your overall bet than if you were to double both the pass line and the odds. And obviously you can do that at any denomination, but the 6 and 15 is the easiest way to explain it. Anyway, I believe that was what he was getting at. I do that all the time because I'm used to 3, 4, 5 times odds in Vegas, or 10 or 100 or wherever you happen to play. And it kind of stinks having to play at a 2 times odds table, but the full double odds 2.5 times on the 6 and 8 is a nice way to mitigate that for certain rolls. Anyway, miss seeing you guys, and hopefully we'll be able to cross paths in the not too distant future. And be well, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Yeah, you too, Eric. Hopefully we can see you soon.
I was going to say, we haven't seen Eric. Probably by the time we see him again, it'll be about a year. I mean, the last, 5-6 years, we see Eric a couple times a year.
Yeah.
And thanks to COVID, that's been shut down.
Yeah. Well, the situation that Eric's talking about, is where you can add to your pass line bet after a point of 6 or 8 has been established, and then increase your odds by quite a bit, 5 times in this case, at a full double odds casino. You add the $1 to the pass line and the $5 on the odds. That is nice, but think about that. You're adding $6 to the combined bet. $1 on the line, $5 on the odds. When that 6 or 8 hits, you're going to get an additional $7. $1 for the line bet and $6 for the $5 extra that you put on the odds. That's $7 for the $6 you put out there. Well, that's the same payout as placing the 6. You place the 6 for $6, you're going to get $7. So, I don't know. It's too bad that so many places still offer double odds. I think they should be at least doing 3, 4, 5. That's kind of the standard now, is like the minimum odds that should be offered. But there you go.
Yeah, I don't even remember the last time we played at a double odds.
I do. It was at the Cal. Yeah, remember? 360 Vegas Vacation at the Cal.
Right, at the Cal. Right, that's all they had was double odds.
Yep,
yeah,
that was it.
I blocked that out of my mind.
Hey, congratulations to the Cal for being mentioned on 2 episodes in a row.
Yeah, I think we're going to mention the Cal every week.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, recurring donations from Brian Dancer, from Brian and Sarah, and from Josh. Thank you very much. Also, we got a donation from William, who it looks like maybe goes by Billy as well. Karma donation for upcoming Vegas trip. Thank you guys for a great podcast. Thanks very much, Billy. And a donation from Tracy, Karma donation for an upcoming Connecticut trip. Well, good luck to both of you. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings, and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. Dr. Mike, baseball started. We didn't even talk about it last week. Baseball's back.
I know. Baseball's here, hopefully to stay for a little while. I don't know.
God. No kidding.
As soon as I heard the Marlins had a problem, I'm thinking, oh, God, don't close it. Well, the Padres are 4-1, and they were winning tonight. Now it's tied up in the bottom of the 8th. But if they win this game, 5-1, best record in baseball.
Oh, they're going all the way this year. We talked about it. Yeah. This is going to be the year.
And I don't know if it's the shortened season or if it's those beautiful brown uniforms they have now.
Yep.
I love that the brown is back.
I do too. Because I didn't think that blue ever made sense. Because Padres, they wear brown.
Right. And blue is Dodger colors.
Right.
And,
yes.
That's the last thing we want.
Yes.
The brown and the yellow, those are Padre colors. That always was. And years ago, people said, oh, they're kind of ugly. But I like things that stand out. I like the Houston Astro uniforms when they had the big multicolored rainbow.
Yep.
Because, he stood out. I turned a game on. I immediately knew it was the Astros playing or the Padres. Another thing that I have to mention this. So I've been teaching my oldest daughter to play poker. Mm-hmm. Now, before you say anything, this was her idea. Okay. She said, Dad, I want to learn to play poker.
Okay.
So we sat down, and not to be the bragging parent, but my daughter's very bright, especially with math. And so she figured the game out fairly quick. What hands win and what beats what. Mm-hmm. And we're working on betting strategy now. Anyway, I got on Poker Stars, and they have these little quick 3-person tournaments, no limit Texas Hold'em. It's for play money. And I enjoy those because sometimes you get people who they're all in no matter what they have. But a lot of times you'll get players who want to win, and so they're playing what you would expect, good play. And it's a good way to learn to play when you're down to 2 people or 3 people. I told my daughter, I said, well, I think you're ready. Let's try a tournament. So she got in. It's just a 3-person, no limit Texas Hold'em tournament. She won.
Excellent.
Won the tournament. Yeah, and I did not help her. She called bets when she was supposed to. She raised when she was supposed to. And she ended up winning the tournament. So I've never been more chuffed in my life.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so thank God for coronavirus. It got my daughter to play.
What a great way to end the show. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Good night.
Oh, sweet mother, I love you, Dr. Mike.